Good morning. Welcome to Retro Toy Princess. I'm Allison Troy. And today I have a very special guest, Michael from Toy Habits.
Hello.
And wait, that felt weird. Let's try something. Let's see if we can get this to
Kroger
work.
brand has you covered with
No, we don't want your ad. No ads.
mechanical and
There we go.
And before we dive into the review, smash that like button, turn on notifications, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss a beat. Here.
There we go. That felt okay. We can do this now. Michael is here.
There we
All right. It doesn't feel like you if I don't have the jingle that your amazing brother wrote.
Yes. Yeah, I'm very happy. And I love your intro too. Like the music is on point and the little graphic. I love it. So cool.
Yeah, it took me a while to find that through free options, and I found it, and I'm like, there we go.
Yeah, definitely free is much better. Because I mean it looks like something you paid for.
Yeah, it actually it looks like, yeah, somebody was like, how much did you pay for that? I'm like how many hours did it take me to put that together? Like $8,000. So no, it didn't cost quite that much. All right, quickly, let's say hello to the chat. Good morning, Thanos. Lovely to see you. Largo popped in earlier to say happy Sunday, no leprechaun coloring on St. Patty's Day. No, me and leprechauns, after I restraining order because I would never let them have my Lucky Charms. Good morning, Cobb. Lovely to see you, Cobweb Collector. Chris Plastic of Shiny Plastic People is here.
Shiny plastic people.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what I always think of. So. All right, and let me minimize that. So we will we should let's pretend that this is like a big time YouTube color tube, toy tube channel. We're gonna be coloring Bo from Princess of Power today. Because I give everyone who's been on the show knows I give everyone a couple options, and this is what Michael picked, and it's a good one. And I'm coloring with all of my Prismacolors because, as you know, I'm snotty. I like the snotty paper and the snotty pencils. What are you coloring with today, Michael?
So I am coloring with the amazing set of Artist Loft Necessity colored pencils that my daughter lent to me. So she's really into like art and graphic design. So she has a really nice set. So I didn't have to go like out and buy something, but it looks like something like Tomax and Zaymot would carry, right?
It does. Well, it totally has like the almost imagine the Pulp Fiction, like with the light.
Oh, yeah. Totally does. I should have put a light in here to like have it glow.
Yeah, right.
So funny.
We'll remember that for next time.
Yes.
We'll trick it out.
Interesting comment from from Cobweb Collector. Hey Michael, I know you third period gym class. I'm like, he needs to DM me to give me more context on that. Like, is this somebody that I went to high school or junior high with? I don't know.
Yeah, Cobb. We need to inquiring minds when he's in, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't want to dox where people live, but
no.
I know where you both live, and but it's possible because who knows?
Right.
Hello, Black Phoenix. Black Phoenix. Wait. Caffeination. Good morning, Black Phoenix. There we go. That's better. Oh, and see, Cobb, Black Phoenix has us covered for, he's wearing a green thong, so thank you very much. Merman green, yeah, there we go. All right. Wow, green thong, okay. On that note, Black Phoenix, that just gave me an image, and it's not a bad image, I'm just saying it threw me for a second, so yeah. Third period gym class A.
Oh, it's a quote from a movie. I got it. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's funny.
You Dazed and Confused. Okay, that's fine. All right, that was a good movie. So, all right, that came out, I think, after I graduated high school. Maybe that was toward the It's all a little hazy back then for me. So anyway, so yeah, we're doing both from Princess of Power, and it's appropriate that well, I specifically said Princess of Power when I invited Michael to do this because Michael's why I'm here. So
Oh,
um,
nice.
I was a commenter person on Toy Habits, and I kept well actualing them about their Princess of Power stuff. And instead of treating me like an internet troll, Michael invited me to come on and participate. So I appreciate that.
No, it was fun. You know, I think that's one of the main reasons why I started this. It was one, it was fun, and like two, meeting fantastic people like you. I was like, you were so knowledgeable about Princess of Power, so I was like, makes sense.
It was just I don't know, like a lot of like it's weird though. There's a lot of I've noticed a lot of gatekeeping sort of in YouTubery.
Oh,
And
most definitely.
it was refreshing to that wasn't what happened. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm appreciative. It was
I
also
think-
how I realized I could do this. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think it comes from too, like I've in my, the early days when you're just starting out, you're super excited. And I reached out to so many other like YouTube channels that just never got back to me. And I was like, I don't want to be like that person.
yeah, it's odd. Like I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
so dumb.
It's completely weird. Well, it's funny because I've like that's just sort of my nature too, is to if somebody knows something I don't, it's like, hey. I think I've invited everyone. I told somebody like you just need to get a channel so that you can hang out with me on a Sunday and color.
Right.
And
Like-
so my friend Muriel is starting a channel, so there you go.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like you don't have to like make content for the channel, but at least hang out, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. People I'm that person though where I believe it's like YouTube is democratic. Like make content. Anyone can make content on YouTube. Doesn't mean anyone's gonna watch it, but anyone can make it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it's such a mystery, like what stuff gets served up to people and what stuff doesn't. But
yeah, well, and that's what's I think fun. I think that's what's fun about your channel though, because in a lot of ways, Toy Habits breaks all of those rules. Like I've had people like you have to live stream the exact same time every time, all the time, or nobody will watch. And it's like you guys sort of go live, like you have your regular sort of Sunday that happens a lot, but there are times where you're just like, we're gonna do it on Friday because
Right.
this is happening on Friday.
yeah, or like sometimes life gets in the way and we just have to
Yeah.
readjust, and we don't make a big deal out of it. It's like whoever can come on, and
Yeah, I just find it. I find it nice to yeah, because again, you don't really know how the YouTube thing works.
right.
As much as there are all these sort of channels, like this is what the algorithm does. People
Yeah.
just don't know, and it's interesting that you guys, in a lot of ways, defy sort of all those rules, and still like, well, I think it helps that you put out great content.
Oh.
So
Yeah. It's funny, like I guess people claim to know like what the YouTube algorithm is all about, but it's really a black box. And it's like I think a lot of us don't do this for the algorithm. We do it because we like it and we like
Yeah.
to interact with other folks.
yeah, every so often I have a video that falls flat. It's invariably one that I really liked and I'm really
Yeah.
invested in, and I'm like, and I have, but I early enough in it where I have that moment where I'm like, maybe I should just not ever do that content again. And I'm like, that's the only reason I'm doing it and stuff that I don't, like I'm not as passionate about that has done well. I'm just like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
So, it's funny. Like, I mean, I can see like, I guess the people who are making millions of dollars at YouTube, like I can see why they would chase an algorithm.
Right.
But for those of us where this is our sort of side passion project, like I think if you're not loving what you're doing, don't change. Why do it? Like
Exactly.
so.
Yeah. And if you're not liking it, figure out what would make you like it more, and then you can go ahead and do that instead.
Yeah, exactly. So since we're doing Princess of Power, That's even though I know some of these answers.
Hmm.
Like, what is your history with Princess of Power?
So my first introduction to the Princess of Power was actually in 2015 when Netflix did that. Or I forget when it came out, but they did that kind of reimagined
Yeah.
DreamWorks thing, and I loved it. And so I went back and watched all of the Princess of Power Filmation
Yeah.
episodes, and that was seriously the best thing that I could have ever done because I enjoyed all of those episodes so much more so than the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe episode.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, like Lou Scheimer at Filmation, they were really into doing Princess of Power. Sorry for the dramatic sigh. Matt just walked in from. He went to the grocery store to pick up a few things, and he just came back, and he got over there without his wallet. So
Oh no Apple Pay.
yeah, no Apple Pay. He is very not technology savvy. We just got Lyft and Uber on his phone, so that I didn't have to always do Lyft and Uber. Like send it all for him. So.
Well, congratulations.
I know. Welcome to the modern world.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, no Apple Pay. I don't. I have some Apple Pay. I don't have a lot of Apple Pay, but yeah. So anyway, that was the heavy sigh for those wondering. He got over there and forgot his wallet. And
trying to find the right color for Bo's pants. I've gone through 3. Let's see if this will do it. Oh, I think this actually might be good. I've kind of colored over it 2 or 3 times already, but it's actually nice because it creates an interesting visual.
Yeah, well, that's sort of layering. That's sort of what all the pink squiggles I'm doing right now. I'm just sort of like I'm adding to it because I'm extra fancy. So I'm adding like Whispering Woods and then.
Oh, that's so neat.
Yeah. Well, again, that was sort of so. I'm gonna channel origins. One, this was probably done during one of your origins live stream news things. But one of my original goals for this channel was coloring all of the Princess of Power vintage coloring books. So for a lot of the Princess of Power, I have spent way too much time doing a color scheme and everything. So.
Mm-hmm.
And because a lot of these old coloring books are, they weren't, one of my goals was like, let me make it more artistic and be fancy about it. And so for a lot of these old coloring books, I add planets and stuff to the background, just, to lux it up a little bit. So there's just all this white space. And I actually hate doing sky, which is one of the reasons I think I do all the planets. But I was like, let me do some trees. So but it's Whispering Woods, so they're pink and purple, and so it's some happy little Ethereum trees. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
I think I found a good color for Bo's pants. Though it's funny, I'm coloring on a gaming desk which has a bunch of like carbon fiber texture on it, and so that's translating into Bo's pants, which gives
you get texture. Like I have this is on Bristol paper, but I also this wood fiber board gives some texture to it. So I often get comments like, "Oh my gosh, how did you get the texture on your fabric?" It's like literally it's this and it's the paper and it's the style of how I color.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice effect, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't it's not necessarily intentional. It was a happy accident. Anyway, yeah, no, Bob Ross is sort of one of my heroes.
Oh.
Mainly because I would come home drunk from the club back in the 90s, and that's all that was on, even on regular cable. It was Bob Ross or Martha Stewart, and Martha and I We have a relationship issue, especially back. I mean, she went to jail and now she's cool, but back in the '90s, it was very much. I would come home having very many drinks, and she would be like there with that Martha Stewart gleam, and she'd be like, "This morning, I'm gonna make a fun brunch for all of my friends and family. So first, I'm gonna go to my chicken coop and harvest eggs." And then I'm like, what is happening? And by the end of it, she's like pressing paper for like the placemats. And I'm just like, I can't. I always felt like I was tripping or like, like maybe somebody gave me a roofie at the club
Jeez.
because it was just that, it just felt that insane. Like one time she made Hollandaise and I was like, what is happening here? Like, why doesn't she just have like the mix like my mom does from like the grocery store? Why is she whipping stuff? I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Seems like it takes a lot of time and effort.
that was and that was at a point where I was like, I will never cook and clean and do all of those lady things. And so she was my mortal. And then she went to prison and became gangster. And I'm like, okay, I like her now.
You're like, all right,
She's fine.
there we go.
There we go. Yeah. So I'm lucky though. I have denim. So the denim for Bo will work for his pants.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. But okay, so you watch. So that's I recently rewatched some of the Filmation, and some of them are really good, but some of them kind of have aged like milk.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything. Like any episode where Lucky is like a character in the episode, I'm just like I'm not. I didn't like a lot. Like I didn't like Orko though until Revelations.
Oh.
Like as a kid, Orko was the worst. Boring. He was kind of dumb.
Yeah, he's basically the Eternian jester who can do magic and always got himself into these little things that he tried to get himself out of and ended up becoming more of a big mess. Probably a pain in the butt for Chef Alan to deal with on a daily.
Oh my god, poor Chef Alan. Will we ever get an action figure of Chef Alan?
Yeah, if the Motu Origins cartoon collection does not do a Chef Alan, I'm gonna revolt.
I want that weird clown character. Like,
yeah, he would be insane. I mean, Mattel made Doink the Clown, and so you could see if they could possibly do something like that, right?
Well, and it's funny because everyone was like, somebody was like, why do we need another clown? I'm like, because we need another Scott Knightley action figure. And they thought I was serious. I'm like, that was obviously a dig at Scott Knightley whenever I said add the clown, but whatever.
Right. That's funny.
I forget not everyone gets. Oh shoot, that's his cape. I keep trying to make his cape purple. I mean pink and stuff. So
that's okay.
I'm gonna just jump in with the pomegranate really quick, so that I remember that's cape. Anyway, but yeah, it's like a dark red.
Yeah.
That is what I like about the Prismacolors, as snotty as it sounds, is they have all these really like blue slate, non-photo blue orchid, dahlia purple, lemon yellow, pale vermilion, pomegranate, and then there's pink.
Just pink.
Just pink. And
pink
this is and this is pink rose. So like, but there is just pink. Like back when they created the line in the 50s, they're like, we'll just call this one pink. So instead of pale red.
Yeah, these colors are pretty much what they are: magenta, red.
Yeah.
Light purple.
A lot of sort of the especially if she's into design, a lot of the sets that are made specifically for design are a lot more straightforward. Because you need magenta.
Yeah.
There's some sets where it's like it'll be like magenta's 0.5 or red 7 or whatever for all the variances. Prismacolor just it's not. I have another set called Black Widow. And it's an entire, like, there are a couple sets of them. To get the full thing, you have to buy multiple sets. But what I like about it is this is green, but it's called Zombie.
Yeah.
This one is Fizz. It's a green color and it's Fizz. Grass blade pine, green glow, calm lime, as opposed to, and this one's wizard. It's a dark bluish green. So those are fun. I use them sometimes. But I tend to use Prismacolor for stuff I do on the channel because they're just nice and creamy and buttery. And I know exactly, like, that's a newer set, and I've been using these since off and on since college, so I know what I'm going to get with that. Although probably at some point people will be like, what's happening on your channel? When it's like, I tried this insane set of pencils. Look what happened. Just because every so often to sort of also get my stuff pushed over there, I have to occasionally pretend that I'm doing art and craft stuff. So, let's see. Anyway, I missed Lucha Johnny earlier. Sorry, Johnny.
Lucha Johnny.
Hello, Duchess. Welcome.
Duchess.
Yeah, the Duchess of Darkness. Largo, exactly. Prismacolor is classic. And that's sort of, like art college back in the, I don't know what they teach the kids in college now. You'll have to ask your children.
Yes, I will ask my son who's coming home for spring break from college. So.
Nice. How's he liking it? It's his first year, right?
It is. He likes it a lot. He went to University of Reno, and
Nice.
he did marching band in high school, so he's doing marching band in college too. So it's very fun. He likes it a lot. The marching band is very intense for the 1 credit that he gets for doing that. But yeah, so the football season's over, but and also the basketball season, he was doing the pep band for a little for the time because he really liked it, which was nice because it's not like 20 degrees outside in the wintertime in Reno. So.
That's true. Although it is after dark in Reno.
Yes.
I've only been to Reno once, and I remember it was really hot during the day, and then at night it was like ice cold.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we did not, when we would go up, like my wife and I, we don't care much for football, but so we just wanted to see him play.
Yeah.
And it was really, really cold. And, he plays for like the opening and the halftime show. And then, they do like they play in the stands as well, just a bunch of things. So it was fun.
That is the weird thing about, I used to also go to football, not for the actual game, but usually because I was involved with the football player, but never a good one. So he was usually sitting on the bench or whatever.
That's funny.
None of my exes went on to the NFL. A couple of them ended up in prison, but that's what happens when you're in the South and you're a Carl. Hello, Joe. Welcome. It's our old friend Joe from Toy Habits.
That's funny. Let's see. Shiny Plastic People said, "Hey, Michael, I don't know you, but I might be in a car with you next week. We'll see." Shiny Plastic People, I guess, might be in the Bay Area. So we're going to, Brick and I are going to make a mecca to go see Ken from Toy Connection.
Nice.
He's visiting his sister, and it's only an hour and a half away. So,
yeah, Chris, Shiny Plastic People, Chris is going to be in the Bay Area. And I don't know if the stars will align, but if they do, maybe. If not, I will be in the Bay Area at some point in the next year.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you gotta tell me.
Yeah, like for sure. Like it just next weekend, like it's been on the let's do it, but also just there have been a lot of sort of life. Life is sometimes like going to the Bay Area to have fun and hang out with your YouTube friends so that you can be real life friends. But we'll see. Like it's not off the table. It's just not a given at this point, but maybe if not though, once I make it down there next time, I definitely will give you a holler.
Holla.
Because I mean, like I go every couple of years. I haven't been since before the lockdowns and stuff, but I used to go every year. I have a friend who she stopped doing Airbnb because she hates doing Airbnb, but her place is between like Mission and Market. And she'd be like, just come stay in our extra apartment. I'm like, okay.
Extra apartment. Yeah,
Yeah,
I just have one of those lying around, sure.
yeah, they have like one of those like one of those like the duplex houses like in Full House where it's like two houses
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
together and they're the bottom floor. Their other apartment is the top floor. And they're just like, we haven't updated it since Airbnb. So, like one, anyone who knows the Bay Area knows that if I were to rent that in Airbnb, like I would just have to give a kidney to actually afford that normally.
Yeah, most definitely.
But also it makes it cheaper because it's between Mission and Market, so everything you could possibly want to see in the Bay Area and San Francisco proper is either a very brisk walk or a short bus ride away.
Risk, baby.
And there's lots of food, and because it's an actual apartment, there's a full kitchen. So I would get there and do Uber delivery for the first day, and then go to Whole Foods in an Uber and grocery shop, and then cook and stuff. It was like living in San Francisco for like a week, and then I would go see all the Zodiac Killer kill sites. So,
oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, well, exactly, because for one of those you have to go to Vallejo, and like, have you been to Vallejo?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. They have got a great Waffle House in Vallejo, though. So,
oh, I love can't pass up a good Waffle House.
that's true. I can't either, actually. Like, that's what we would do in college. Like, you go drinking, and then you'd hit the Waffle House and
That's funny.
get waffles and fried eggs. And if you didn't send your or your fork back at least once to get it rewashed because there was like egg on it from somebody else, it wasn't an actual visit to the Waffle House. So yeah, these are nice pink clouds.
I do like those clouds. It's funny. You're starting on the background scenery and I'm filling in Bo, which is funny.
Yeah, well, I used to do up until my channel. That's exactly how I would do it, and then nobody would watch shorts. They would stop watching once I stopped coloring the main person.
Oh.
So I started for shorts where I would start in the background and work forward because it helped people actually finish to the end. But I also hate doing backgrounds usually. And so I would do the main figure and then I get really bored and it would be hard to finish, which when you're filming a video is not very helpful.
No.
So I learned not only did it help me in the shorts algorithm, but it also helped me actually film stuff if I start in the back and work to the front. So I am my audience, obviously. So.
Yes, you got to know your audience. It just occurred to me that Bo doesn't have a lot of clothing on up top.
He does not. That's sort of the difference between the Filmation design and the toy design is that he doesn't have full armor in front.
Full frontal armor. He's kind of like a dreadnought with a crop top, kind of.
Yeah, well, see, in the toy, like this part sort of is. He's back on the wall back there, but I would get him down, but he's mint and card, and it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah,
based on how I've got it displayed. But he comes with like clip-on armor that fits on over all of this.
Mm-hmm.
So he has a full chest piece over this. But again, Filmation would simplify the designs. Because Bo is one of the original Mattel. He was designed by Justine Danzer, who helped to develop the early Princess of Power figures. And originally, if you look at the toy, he's got the one hand that's gold.
Mm-hmm.
This did not actually make it to the toy line, but originally when she designed that, he's missing the hand, and that's his replacement hand. It's sort of like Luke Skywalker, I guess.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, there's a whole. My brain is sort of glitching on if she actually said this or if I am imagining she said it because I just projected it on. I will have to rewatch it before I do that video on Bo, obviously. But I want to say she said that her father had lost maybe a limb in the military or some such, and she was really close to her dad. And she didn't get this until later in life that, she unconsciously sort of created elements of her dad and Bo.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Obviously that was lost for the cart. I mean, in the toy line, She-Ra and Bo were boyfriend girlfriend, and that sort of got lost in Filmation. It was definitely more about Seahawk.
Yeah,
and I don't know that Bo enjoyed the company of ladies in the cartoon, and that's fine. We love that for him. There's no crime in that, but it just sort of at times, much to I think Glimmer's chagrin in the cartoon, because Glimmer seemed to be a little bit into Bo.
Yeah,
And so
she was into the man's.
yeah, oh Glimmer.
Huh.
So yeah. Anyway, so Bo has this whole, yeah, and Cal in the designs was sort of Bo's attachment. So anyway, at some point I will finish all of my long form videos that don't necessarily, yeah. So anyway, well, and that's sort of one of the things I think I'm gonna do with the long form stuff is I'm gonna actually put the coloring behind the storytelling part of it because it's a lot easier than trying to throw together all the pictures and making sure they're all.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't like it if you use their pictures, which I haven't run into myself yet, but some people have. So
yeah, I mean, if it's something that they spend a long time creating or whatever.
Yeah, if it's like their thing that they created, that's one thing. But when I've literally, I mean, most of what I use, I've scanned from actual books I have or from actual packaging. But I've seen people. Oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say that Power and the Honor Foundation book is awesome. I finally
got that one I've used. I have used that one a lot, so it's pretty solid. And there's stuff that's in there that didn't make several of the Dark Horse books. So it's a bit lacking as far as its She-Ra content. Hopefully, at some point, they find a way to.
There's just some like wacky stuff in there. I mean, just some of the concepts for like the creatures that they had. Like one of them is like gobbling up He-Man, and I was like, where is this in the lore? Like, where did this
right. The sort of was it the glob? I think they called him, where it's like it folds in half with like teeth and stuff. And it looks like a Ghostbusters ghost.
Oh, it totally does. It's funny.
I actually somewhere have notes and a design for doing a custom of that particular character. But he wouldn't have been particularly articulated, just because for him to be hefty, and that's probably why he didn't get made, is like to make him hefty enough to actually open and close. It would have been really hard.
Yeah.
And even at that point, at the height of Motu, that much original tooling would have been hard. So,
yeah, it's funny just with Eternia coming out, just kind of looking back at the history of just where that line started to come out and the history of just the toy market just bottoming out for Mattel just so drastically. It's like if you look at a graph, it's like it just fell off a cliff.
Yeah, it is odd that like the Motu things make sense when you look at sort of the saturation of it. I mean, like everyone's like, oh, it ended in '87. But at that point, it was really odd other than like Barbie, even G.I. Joe had ended a couple times at that point.
Yeah.
Star Wars even, like Star Wars was not always an evergreen toy line. It had And some of that was not just that, because Kenner had proposed the Epic Continues, where they were going to do sort of expanded universe figures and stuff. And Lucasfilm was like, yeah, let's not do that. But even that, Star Wars it had been out a long time. A lot of the original kids were aging up.
Yeah.
I think with Masters of the Universe, some of it was that the cartoon had ended. And even She-Ra was winding down at that point. Like She-Ra, the cartoon, like ended in '87, but it had already been canceled. Like Filmation only planned on like 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Like He-Man the show didn't get canceled. Like the contract with Mattel ended, and Mattel didn't renew it. They're like, well, let's put money toward Princess of Power instead. So
I'm glad they did.
yeah, I think it's a stronger show. I think.
Yeah.
Had a stronger narrative through line.
Oh yeah, I was just about to say the storylines are fantastic in that series.
So, whereas Motu had way more sort of villain of the week, where it just was sort of you never knew what you were going to get. Whereas Princess of Power, even if you got sort of that one-off episode of unicorns or whatever, the Horde was still always somehow present in the storyline. So.
Yeah, it's like Mantenna offering that comedy relief like Orko, right?
Yeah, Mantenna at least could be menacing.
Yeah, we could try.
I think Lucky is the only thing about the She-Ra cartoon that I'm really like, it's the worst.
Oh.
So, let's see. Stanley Toy Channel, hello and welcome. Lovely to see you. And then let's see.
Go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice that they're gonna trying to spice it up. We're not even gonna talk about Walmart.com.
Yeah, that's later today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, Largo. What would Carrie Fisher do? Yep, exactly. So, anyhow, catching up on the chat.
Yeah, Joe. Yeah, the fan favorite Origins figures. That's good for people that missed out.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they sort of doing only the new figures for Origins outside of cartoon as exclusives. I hope they move away from that because I think that's unless we get them as fan favorites later. But
yeah, that would be nice.
I think the Walmart situation is way too stupid.
It is, and Hasbro figured that out. So kudos to them.
Yeah,
they're just kicking them to their curb for the retro G.I. Joe Classified Series card backs, but Mattel must be getting a ton of money from Walmart.
I hope it's somehow worth it. But I also have noticed there's sort of all of, I think a lot of us are waiting with bated breath to see whether or not Lord Grasp and Terror actually make it, don't get canceled. But I will say anytime I've ordered exclusive classified through through Walmart, that always shows up. I've never had them cancel a Joe.
They cancel other stuff.
Yeah, they cancel other stuff. But again, I think as much as some people want to complain about Hasbro, it really feels like they listen. I know that I have expressed a complaint or two, and I've heard directly from Emily.
That's awesome.
I've gotten private messages from Emily before on Instagram. Hey, this sound like it didn't go well. What happened?
That's awesome.
It's really awesome that people from Hasbro they're at least trying. It feels like I don't feel like Mattel tries sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. I think they're still just trying to figure out their marketing, and it doesn't really feel. I think they're testing their way into everything. It just doesn't feel like it has a plan. Where the G.I. Joe Classified Series team, they have a plan. They figured it out. Actually, I'm hoping to meet both Emily and Lenny. The Toy Sorceress had a fantastic idea that we should go to WonderCon, which is in Anaheim.
Yeah.
So I was like, sweet. I was like, awesome. She was going, and we're gonna be there. So I wanna meet her. And
Definitely.
Yeah.
Emily is a lot of fun. I know she gets a lot of crap online, but I find her quite charming and quite
Oh, she's
fun.
great. Yeah.
So,
That's what you want for a marketing person, right?
yeah,
Like her energy is fantastic. She knows the product, and yeah, it's it feels like some of the like Transformers and Star Wars team, they're just kind of like going through the motions.
I think, well, I can't speak to Transformers stuff. With Star Wars stuff, it really unfortunately feels like a lot of Disney sort of red tape makes it really hard for them to communicate.
Oh
Um,
yeah, right.
I got to hang out and do a color one of these with Emily Cantaloupe from Star Wars
Oh cool.
last October for Carrie Fisher's birthday.
Oh, that's
She graciously gave like 2 hours of her time to hang out with me on a Sunday and do a pre-record. And
awesome.
there was sort of before we even, yeah, it was pre-record, but before we could even go live, there was sort of I can't talk about this. Please don't ask me this because I
Mhm.
can't. And it wasn't, it wasn't like rude. It wasn't like I'm just gonna end the call or whatever. It was very much don't, like it will get me in trouble sort of
Yeah.
was the vibe I got from it. And she was delightful. Like she was forthcoming about stuff she could be forthcoming about and very
Mhm.
chatty about just a great person. But I think a lot of what we see from Star Wars team members is not because as we see with GI Joe, there's definitely a willingness on Hasbro's part to be personable, to be available, to like interact with fans and with content creators like ourselves who like you know do stuff on the internet that involve their brands. I think,
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
trying to figure out too, like, we've wanted to have several people that can, that are a part of the brands for the major toy companies that we talk about. I wonder like if they are just not into us because of the types of things we do on the website.
I it could be like
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna pretend it. You do leaks, you do speculation. I think it could be the concept of it.
Yeah.
If I would like Emily today was like, if you on one of her posts was like, if you are a podcaster, a content creator, and you would like to interview us, like reach out through DMs. My advice is someone who has gotten to hang out with Hasbro people that don't all like are pretty selective about sort of the hanging out of offer a pre-record. Don't I Going live is a hot mess.
Yeah.
Especially because they have answers they can and can't give.
Right.
And it's a lot easier if you can just say, oh, if something comes up, we can edit that out.
Hmm.
Also, the chat. Sometimes people are not kind in chat.
Yeah.
Sometimes people ask things in chat that are. It's not an honest. They're not asking because they actually like want to know the answer or because they're cool or whatever. They're asking just to be jerks.
Yeah.
So I would say always when you do a request like that, because Lenny hung out with Lawrence from A Punk with Toys on one of his Thursday streams, and they talked for a really long time, but it was a pre-record.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I would say if you want, I personally, if it were me, and obviously I'm a huge fan of what you and the Toy Sorcerers do. I would recommend reaching out to Emily, marketing Emily, and being like, "Hey, wouldn't it would be cool if we could do this? How can we make it work? We're happy to do a pre-record." And she'll have a list. Emily though is really good about at the beginning of just like, if you ask about this, it's a no-go. None of
Mhm.
this. she's a lot more direct about that stuff. So
Oh, that's
I
cool.
would recommend just reach out to her and be like, we'd love to have you to talk about what you can talk about.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because I think when we've always reached out, we've had just like, I guess because live streams is pretty much all we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I totally get it. That totally makes sense.
Yeah, I would say reach out to her and just be like, hey, like what if we did a pre-record, and I would even recommend submitting sort of like what you want to talk about so they can get a flavor for it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, like, and that's typically when you reach out to say Houseware to talk to somebody, it goes through a vetting process through their marketing people.
Yeah.
So it can, like, Victoria's Cantina recently got Emily Cantaloupe to talk about, like, it was easier for me to get through because I'm like, I don't care about what's coming out or what isn't. Like, we don't have to talk about any of that.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna color Carrie Fisher and talk about talk about Princess Leia and all of that.
Yeah, like if I did have people on who were part of the design process, like that's all I want to know about. I don't want to
Yeah.
know what's coming. I really want to know like how everybody works together just to make this all come
Yeah,
together.
let them know that that's what your interest is, and that
Like
you
we're
know,
not gonna have them on to like trap them into like talking about stuff that they shouldn't talk about.
all right, like look at all these customs of cool figures you should be doing. Yeah, don't do that.
No, yeah.
But I think if you were to just reach out and say, hey, let's do a pre-record. We want to talk about the design of it. We want, and if you want to talk about what's already been released, what's known, don't ask about Hooded Cobra Commander. They can't talk about that.
Right.
Just don't. Everyone's like wants to. It's like, dude, Google it. It's on the internet.
Yeah, just like get like people have made custom heads. Just get one of
There's
those.
some amazing. I have seen some amazing custom people who do 3D printed
Mm-hmm.
like sculpting that will print them out and you can buy them. They're very affordable. Like, support your indie creators. There are some things the toy company's just not going to make.
Right.
It's bigger than, like, I think even I, as an adult collector, forget what a small percentage of the market we actually are. Like I gave Mattel some public feedback on Instagram about Collectors Con. But I also had it's like we're such a small like segment of the community, of their market that like, I think a lot of us think we're bigger than we are, and we're really not. We're just more vocal. We're on the internet.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
7-year-old Joey doesn't jump on the internet to like do a rant video when his Tonka truck breaks or whatever. His mom just doesn't buy it again. She might do an Angry Karen Amazon review, but like, when I had mentioned, Pixel Dan like did a live stream of him putting his Eternia together for his Patreon. I'm on his Patreon. FYI. And I had mentioned, because sort of one of my infamous stories that I tell is we got Eternia for Christmas 1986, and the tracks broke on Christmas Day.
Oh.
Not through, we weren't playing hard. It was literally, we set it up. We had the little monorail go around 2 or 3 times. It broke. It was just very brittle plastic. And I've heard other people talk about how brittle the plastic was. Well, I mentioned it in Pixel Dan's chat. I'm like, sort of because he was asking questions about anyone who had this as a kid. What was it like? And I just was like, what about the box art? Like, we never saw the box art because my parents put it together at Christmas Eve after we went to bed.
Mm-hmm.
It was put together. That's probably why my mom was so angry that Christmas, because they had been up all night putting Eternia together and putting stickers down.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But somebody in that chat was like, well, did your mom complain to Mattel? And it's like, in 1986, like, that wasn't what you did. Like,
yeah, I mean, how would you even get in touch with Mattel like back then?
Well, they had the sort of consumer relations that, in the box, it was like, if you have feedback on the instructions, it said, here's how you can reach us. But if something like that broke, you just made note of it. if you couldn't easily take it back to the store, which we had ordered, she'd ordered that through Sears through the catalog, so it would have been an ordeal to get it. It wasn't like a Walmart purchase,
Mm-hmm.
but it just would have been an ordeal. Also, like this whole phenomenon of complaining to companies is sort of pretty new,
Yeah.
unless it was egregious. Like you didn't complain. You just were like, we're not going to buy any more giant Mattel play sets anymore.
Right.
Like that was how you spoke with your money back then.
Yeah, I guess there's so much access now to companies because they're posting on Facebook and Instagram. It's like there's probably there's whole different departments that handle all of the social media. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not Emily and Lenny, they'll make their own posts, but
Yeah.
it's not really the people that you see as the creators of the product sometimes, right?
Yeah. And like back then, I mean, like we know who Mark Taylor is now from Masters of the Universe, but like in 1984, 85, we had no clue who any of these people were behind the scenes. Like,
Yeah, we just went to Toys R Us and there were some new figures hanging on the pegs, and we're like, this is cool.
yeah, well, and that's sort of the other, like especially with Origins, I've been really sort of aware of like when I was a kid, you knew there were new figures because they were on the shelf.
Right.
Or you saw them on the cross, like there was one new figure and then the cross cell had like 4 other figures. Like I have to figure out who it was. Like when I got into G.I. Joe in like 86-ish.
That was a good year.
Yeah, the year that like Jinx and Chuckles and we had gotten we got the flag that year because it was marked down.
86, 87, yeah.
Yeah, so like and I remember I got like all of the Joes that year, all of the Cobras.
Wow.
Because on the back of the card there was the like, collect them all, but there was the cross cell. And I would just go to the store and I get 2 or 3 of them and then cross them off. Like couldn't like He-Man and She-Ra really weren't, and I didn't realize that it was because the lines were winding down. I've got all of these She-Ras. I've already got Mermista and Angela. I don't need those.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, G.I. Joe, like Jinx, she's cool. It's a lady ninja in red. I'm in. Crystal Ball was my favorite that year. I loved Crystal. He was the best. And he had that low cut shirt. And then Chuckles, of course. Like a big part of my play was that Zorana and Xandar were both in love with Chuckles, and Chuckles was in love with both of them. And it culminated in a wedding on the USS Flag where Zorana was the one who was like, and the preacher was like, is there anyone here who objects? And it was Xandar and Chuckles getting married. It was Zorana objecting. And then she tried to blow them all up because she's a villain. So. But yeah, and that was, I think, my last G.I. Joe play. So I don't know how that all worked out. I won't know probably until we get a Xandar figure that I can put on the shelf, and then I'll revisit it 30 years later. Xandar, Chuckles, and their 4 kids, and Zorana is still bitter. Still bitter after all these years. And so, let's see. Check the chat. Synergy. I use Synergy sometimes.
Synergy, yeah.
I've had Walmart cancel pre-orders because they changed the SKU. Exact. Yeah, that's a problem. So yeah. I think once upon a time, Joel, the creators and producers did have the best job. I think now it's really hard because everything is micromanaged in a different way on the corporate level. I think we have so much access to marketing that like I think a lot of stuff gets over marketed in a way.
Yeah.
So
or just not marketed at all.
Yeah, they're like there's not as much. I don't understand Mattel. Like
middle ground.
Well, it's like, Mattel's biggest marketing last year was the Barbie movie, but it's like, where was actual Mattel? Like, I don't, like if you didn't sort of, like they do press releases, but like who is the front-facing brand manager of Barbie who's out there talking to? And it's like, none of those people seem to exist. And it's, to me, very like, part of I think what hurts Origins is we just don't know. Like we
Yeah.
don't really know what's. We get more information from Ted Baracelli and like the Netflix team than we do actual Mattel, and that's
Right.
sort of ridiculous. And even when he was on Geek the F Out, like he was even saying he only found out about the Keldor figure because it hit shelves. And then
Right.
it was sort of a spoiler that they weren't ready for it to be out there. And it's just like that's troubles, you know, because as much as we want to say like Star Wars, Disney, Marvel, like there's too much overreach from Disney. At the same time, there's at least an attempt at, sorry, Largo, there's an attempt there at synergy, like to sort of get everything to line up so that there's a consistent presentation.
Mhm.
And it just feels like we're not getting that from Mattel. And like Barbie movie, they're still releasing Barbie dolls from the movie. I have no clue what actually, you know, I'm not you know, like I wasn't a big Barbie fan until the last year or so, like, and sort of clicked with when I started doing this and I started coloring some Barbie pages. All of a sudden, I was like, wait, Barbie had some cool stuff going on in that toy line. So I got a new appreciation. And then the movie came out, and I'm like, oh, this is all kind of cool. I have no clue what sort of product is out there for the movie consistently or what's coming, or, you know, a lot of it seems really overpriced because it's for the, you know, like the high end Barbie doll market. And it's sort of like the She-Ra and the Princesses of Power toy line that was such a fail on Mattel's side. Like,
Yeah. I don't know why. Like, was there some reason why they didn't make so many like action figures from the DreamWorks show?
I
I would have bought the heck out of those.
yeah, I would like. I
I love that show.
recently got the Shadow Weaver and She-Ra set because somebody found them at the Mattel store in, I think, Riverside. I believe it's by Riverside, and they were like,
I
hey,
think is the store down there.
yeah, and it was like it was actually, it wasn't collector's price. It was literally MSR. It was like regular, like what you would expect to find it for when it was brand new. And they're like, hey, do you still need these? And it's like, hell yeah, I still need that. And so I have it because it showed up and it was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive.
Wow.
How do you know that it's at the Mattel store after the fact? This is where they're getting rid of their overstock? Because somebody was at the store randomly and found it there.
Yep.
You know, like I would have made a pilgrimage to Mattel store if I had known, like, because it was a heck of a lot easier than trying to buy any of that through official outlets.
Yeah, we have one of our, I guess, friends who we talk to frequently. He works right across from the Mattel store in El Segundo, and he's always like, he's always there because it's easy for him to get to.
Yeah.
And so he'll take a picture of what they have there. Yeah, he was able to get like Krang and Mossman, the deluxe figures from the Mattel.
Right.
And he just shipped it to us. And I was like, wow. So cool.
Well, and that's the thing, though. Those are supposed to be Walmart exclusives, but yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, all of the Collectors Con stuff, it's sort of like Duplico, eventually ended up on Mattel Creations.
Yeah. So it did end up on Mattel Creations, but with no, yeah, again, there's no marketing, there's no communication about it. Like if you just happen to be on there,
Yep.
You got one, right?
Well, that was like the first time Duplico showed up on Mattel Creations. Like it was the same day something else dropped, and somebody randomly.
Oh yeah, it was Dark Lynn.
Yep. I was on there buying Darkland. If I had known there were Duplicos, I would have grabbed a Duplico when I was buying Darkland.
Totally.
But you know, but there's zero, and it's, I don't know. It makes it really difficult, in my opinion. In my opinion, as a collector, that stuff is so hard to get. Like,
yeah, it makes it very hard to collect everything.
I mean, and even again, I hate to keep. I don't want to sound like I'm shilling for Hasbro here, but anything that's a Collector Con Hasbro item, they also, like, if you're a Pulse member, you can get most of that stuff through Pulse.
Yeah, like I got the Night Force Shockwave. I'm not happy with having to pay for another RAM cycle, but
Right.
at least I wanted the figure. Like that's yeah, some of the yeah, we don't shill for anybody, but you know, there's some things that I love about Hasbro and there's some things that I don't.
Yeah, there's some stuff I could
That's one of the things. You know, they're getting creative with packing extra figures that they know people would never buy. Like, do you want your 5th or 6th Roadblock in Tiger Gear? Sure, but are you going to buy that on your own? Maybe not. So let's pack them with Tripwire.
right. Yeah, because there are people who definitely want all of that, and there are other people who don't, and like you got to get creative with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just odd to me, the whole the Mattel, and again, like for me with Mattel, it's like Mattel is huge. They've been, like they make so much money around the world on Barbie. You would think they'd have all this stuff figured out by now,
Yeah.
but alas, they do not.
Yeah. But I'm excited that at least we're gonna get She-Ra and Bo as action figures in the future.
Yeah, well, and the nice is that those are like, I believe, if I remember the leak correctly, that those are going to be San Diego Comic-Con exclusives initially.
The She-Ra we have to do an update on because we got our wires crossed. It was coming out close to San Diego Comic-Con.
Okay.
We don't think that's going to be an exclusive anymore, but
Gotcha.
the Too Bad and Badra pack I think most definitely will be.
Well, that one makes sense. And I mean, they can still do Too Bad separately later.
Yeah.
Which is what I would assume that they would do. And then they'll probably release Tuvar and Badger separately on a card. So, because that's what I would do. That's how you maximize sort of. You get big collector friendly packaging for San Diego Comic-Con with like 3 figures in it. And then you release those 3 figures in regular packaging elsewhere. And then everybody sort of gets their, because there are people who want that sort of exclusive, like packaging that you can only get in the one place. And it just, some of us don't care because we open this stuff. So,
right. Yeah, I used to have boxes and boxes of packaging that I saved. And then over the last year, I was like, I'm just going to chuck this stuff because I'm not going to do anything with it.
Yeah, I folded up all of my Origins stuff. And it's all in a Castle Grayskull mailer box. And I'm going to go through it because I got that Origins and Masterverse art book. So I'm going to go through it and the stuff that I don't actually like personally super, like, if it's not my favorite, I'm just going to let it go. There are a few that I'm going to hold on to. There are also a few pieces of art that aren't in there. So none of the PowerCon, like Duplicat and the Horde 4-pack and any of those, none of those are actually in that book, which was confusing and upsetting because I say upsetting, finger quote upsetting. But because like the Duplicat Leo Faker box art had Sultra on it, and I was wanting like a nicer. I also, like I haven't opened that set yet because I had to get that on the aftermarket, and Big Bad Toy Store is the aftermarket when something has been out a while.
Yeah, they pretty much price the stuff around like maybe a little bit less than eBay prices.
Yeah. And again, it was a little bit less than eBay prices. I had to stock that one for a while too before I finally got it. And so, but yeah, so I was like, it would be cool if that art was in a book. It was not. So I found that curious. I mean, in theory, it could end up in the next one, but so. It did make me sit down and do the list of like everything that they have, all the figures and toys that they have teased that they've not yet released yet. So I've got that list going.
Yeah,
and we'll know next week because they're supposed to on the 21st, isn't it? That they do their big here's what's coming in the next few weeks.
Yeah, they're taking a page out of Hasbro's playbook, so it's going to be like Hasbro PulseCon, where Motu will get some time dedicated to it. Monster High, Barbie, all of their properties this time.
Yeah.
So it'd be really interesting to see how they handle that. Hot Wheels too.
Yeah.
So,
Well, hopefully, because last time when they did the Serpent's Lair reveal, they included the current sort of brand manager for Motu, and she was not the brand manager that I thought that they had last time we got some communication.
mhm.
So I am hopeful that they have behind the scenes sort of heard some of this, like we would really like more communication, we need more communication, and they've hired somebody who will sort of get out and sort of interact a bit more. Mattel needs their Emily, they need a Lenny, they need
Mhm. Yeah, like
somebody.
a face to the communications, right? Who's
Yeah,
gonna get people excited about the stuff, right?
yeah,
I'm fine with them sending, images and whatever to their people that they have NDA
mhm,
for dropping whatever, but yeah, they need somebody that we can count on. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, like Hasbro also has people that do sort of the, sort of like quote unquote influencers, but they also have the other component of it, and it's just, I don't. It's 2024. Like one Mattel, it's not Mattel up until now, and we'll see how this goes next week. Have been sort of doing toys like it's still 1990, whatever.
yeah,
And so it's like there is no toy fair. Like there are no, and it also seems like Mattel doesn't grasp that like YouTube is sort of where the toy reporting is really happening now.
right.
Like toy fairs, like we've got Toy Collector magazine out now, but even that is mostly indie brands
Hmm.
who grasp the importance of like getting to as many people as you can. So I don't know. Like one of my feelings is everyone's like toy collecting is dying. It's like it's not necessarily that it's dying. It's that none of these brands are fully evolving the way that they need to interact with clientele, potential customers.
Yeah.
Again, not to sound like a Hasbro shill, but Hasbro at least sort of grasp that they can't just do business the way they've been doing business the last
Yeah.
60, however many years. And so hopefully the other companies get that, because I feel like I don't even, like what is it, Spin Masters or whatever, who does a bunch of DC stuff. I have no clue what the heck is even going on over there.
Right.
I would love to buy DC stuff, but they don't communicate. And it's not like McFarlane's ever going to make female figures for me. Hello, Kenzo.
Yeah, or they make them and then they make them a chase figure and really, really hard to get.
Yeah, like I don't know. We've got cat violence over here. Yeah.
How many cats do you have?
We've got 3 right now. One of them is a kitten. He just got fixed last week. So he's extra surly. I think today is
I'd be surly about that too.
as the boy juice adjusts, as you know. So he's overdue though for his painkiller. Yeah. So they're all being sort of unruly. They also sort of act up on Sundays when I stream. So
They're just like kids, right?
yeah, they pretty much are. Well, one of them just flew through earlier and knocked into the camera, and I was just like, "Oh, you
Like whatever.
know." But
Yeah, I guess the thing that I like about what Lenny and Emily do is they're not afraid to try different things. Like they've tried Instagram, they've tried live streams, they've tried recorded stuff, and that's fine. It's like more power to them.
well, it's like not everything's gonna work,
Right.
but you got to at least try and see if it does. And what works for Hasbro may not work for Mattel, but what works for Mattel may not work for Hasbro. And my personal feeling is nothing Mattel is working on that front is working right now.
Right.
Like Mattel just, God, I like And what's the anti-shill toward Mattel? It just feels like they don't care. And I know, like, at the end of the day, they kind of don't. They're just in the business to make money. But it's like you're leaving a lot of money on the table when you act like you're acting, Mattel. Like, there's so much more money you could be making right now that you're not.
Right.
And it's sad. It's really sad. And hello, my buddy's Customs. But yeah. My puppy is getting fixed next week. Hopefully she calms down a little.
Everybody get along in the animal family?
Yeah, they do pretty well. Yeah, the older cat is, well, he still hates me, but to be fair, Matt had him before I got here. He has finally stopped trying to murder me all the time.
Well, that's
which is
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, I
Mhm.
came in and
We need the
She
retro
lives-
toy princess around for a while.
yeah. Well, you know, like contrary to what Moby thinks, it's going to take a little bit more to get rid of me than what's been tried up to this point. I've had at least one ex who thought, you know, anyway, I won't go there today, but let's put it this way, like he didn't walk away from that. You know, and it was just a paring knife, so
Oh, jeez.
you know, it was just a little blood.
Oh, good lord. All right, we'll have to maybe on a hot tub or something.
Yeah, that'll be an offline story because I've got my image to think of.
Right, exactly.
Well, and I don't know what the statute of limitations are, and
Good lord.
current
Sorry.
political climate, I don't know whether or not it would be considered self-defense or not at this stage. So once upon a time, straight up burning bed, Farrah Fawcett level, but who knows now?
Wow.
The world has changed. Anyway, enough about that. So yeah, Bo. No.
Right.
Yeah, this is what I think this is the component not everyone gets when I invite them on here. It's like, yeah, we do color while it happens, but it's actually sort of not really the main. We end up talking about all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a stream of consciousness.
Yeah, pretty much. Some people can't handle that. But it's, I enjoy it. And I try not to invite anyone I don't like on here.
Well, that's good. Well, I'm glad if I'm on the show, that means you like me to some degree.
Well, I made a list when I decided I was going to do this of 20 people, and I was like, these are the 20 people that I want to have on, and you were like first on the list, but I was like, I want to get a little bigger before I bug Michael. I wanted to figure out sort of, you know, all of the details and stuff.
Yeah.
So. Because those first few were very, you know, like there was the one where I did half of it and didn't realize I couldn't be heard until about halfway through. And
oh no.
Yeah, so there.
Need that feedback.
Yeah, well, you sort of have to get out there and do it. Like that's the problem with like, there's somebody who was like, I'm not gonna do streaming until I figure it out so that it can be perfect. And I'm like, well, then you're never going to stream because part of figuring out how to stream is having it be not perfect and be a complete train wreck and ending it and having that moment of like, wow, that was really fun, but what a mess. I'm never doing that again. I can't wait to do it again. So
yeah, it's all a learning process. And it's funny because, you know, you think, like the first time you go out with something, like that's the best you can do, and then you learn as you go along and you refine stuff, and it's all about the iteration process and learning from what you're doing. It's like you don't have to have a show that's like totally fully produced out the gate.
Well, yeah, and sometimes depending on like, you know, sort of this side of it, like hanging out and coloring, it's like the less produced this is, the better. You know, for my actual long form content, like I'm still figuring out what the production levels need to be so that it works. But like for the live stream, but that was part of what was held me back for a while. Was like it needs to be really super and I'm like, we're just hanging out, talking, and coloring. Like my production needs, you know, like StreamYard and my camera are not getting along. So I'll need to get a camera that either plays better or find a different streaming service. But that's sort of the one main production thing that needs to happen for me right now. But a proper camera or a better streaming service costs money that I don't have to put into it yet. So
Yeah, I mean, I think StreamYard's pretty good. I used to use something else, but like I noticed that like nobody was using that, and so I think when we had Toy Habits 2.0, I was like, let's just switch over to StreamYard. And
yeah, when I was on that first time, it was a different stuff. But we also did that as a pre-record, so I don't know if that was partly just the pre-record thing.
Yeah, I don't think we were live streaming at that point. So
I think you had done a live stream or two for
Maybe.
breaking news, but it was very it was more that you have pre-recorded. Hey, none of that. Yeah, right. Well, they're now chasing each other. So.
They're doing what cats do.
Yeah, they're being cats, but it's like up until now they've been bumps on the log.
Yeah,
Like,
it's so funny. Like our cat does the same thing. Like we'll sit down, try and watch a movie, and then like next thing I know, there's like butt in my face, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like you've had all day to put your butt in my face, and now you just want to do it now.
It's literally because something is happening, and they're not the focal point. They need to make it happen. So, I mean, it's like kids, except they don't go away to college and they poop in a box.
Right. Oh my gosh, the lifesaver that I got was I got one of those automatic litter box cleaners, which was oh my gosh. I wish I had that so long ago.
I've looked at those and I've thought about, but I also don't know though with our cats whether or not they would take to such a contraption because
I didn't either. And so what I did was I saved the old, standard litter box that I had.
Yeah.
And then what I did was I didn't clean that one out for a while. And so I just put her mess back in that new one. And so she just took to it. Right. And it's funny because it's like, you can time it when it cleans itself. So I was like, oh, maybe 15 minutes is good. It'll allow the stuff to harden up and whatever and get put in the bin. And that was it. It was such a lifesaver. And yeah.
Same, Kenzo, same. And then Gady's Toys. Hello, Andrew. Andrew will be my guest on April 7th, if I'm remembering correctly. We're going to color a page from a Visionaries coloring book.
Oh, fun.
Featuring the 2 unreleased ladies of the line.
Oh.
So it's perfect for Andrew and I because Andrew does the Miss MIA ladies of the toy aisle. And then I collect female action figures and retro toy princess. So
that's awesome.
It'll be a good day. Anyway, I just saw him and I'm like, hey, he's coming on soon.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think he's also finally going to get on YouTube as well. So.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, that will be really good. So, which means all of us will need, once he starts doing his stuff, like we all have to go on his show.
Oh, totally.
So, if you haven't had Andrew on, and the opportunity arises where he would be a good fit, I recommend him. He's been on here several times and he's great.
So, oh, sure. Yeah.
So just pimping you out, Andrew. Get you all over the toy tubes.
There you go.
But he's got the MIA ladies thing is just obviously for me a really cool part of toy history and frustrating too, because most of them I'm like, I really would have bought that. I would have bought Visionary Toys as a kid if they'd had ladies in the line. There you go, Hasbro. You missed out. I mean, that's what dictated what toys I bought as obviously, I probably would have bought Transformers if there would have been an RC figure in the day, but there was not. So what did I buy? GoBots. That's actually, like, I don't think that's ever come up. Did you buy GoBots also, or just Transformers?
Oh, I bought GoBots too. Yeah, I bought the like Mission Control Center. I had Leader One, Cycle, and some of the smaller ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny when I would get those toys, it would be when I would go see my grandparents back in New Jersey. They would basically take me to a department store called Bradley's, and so I would just figure out what I wanted from there, and it was fun. Yeah, so I collected a lot more than what I'm doing now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as you get older and it gets more expensive to buy those old toys, you have to focus.
Yeah, totally does. Yeah, it's like it's the space issue, and then it's like, do you still actually really do you like them still?
Mhm.
I think some of the I think it's more like some of the memories of the stuff that I had as a kid will get me to buy stuff.
Yeah.
Like the like I don't I've always had a love-hate relationship with Transformers because I would buy them, resell them, buy them, resell them, buy them,
Mhm.
resell them. But and finally I just kind of kept a core G1 set of Transformers. And then they're starting to make these missing link figures where it's like the G1 toy with all of the articulation. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of like the Motu Origins counterpart to Transformers. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like they just started working on a Optimus Prime,
Right.
and they have, do you remember like seeing Transformers and like the white styrofoam inserts that they came in?
Mhm.
Because you
Yeah.
kind of see through the window. They brought back the styrofoam inserts. I was like, I'm buying this figure just for the styrofoam.
Mhm. Well, styrofoam is important.
Totally is.
That's really cool. Yeah, I remember that. Like for us, I mean, like 'cause my brother and I would double team toy lines. He was on his own for Transformers, but for me, it was just like GoBots. You could get two or three of them. They were like $2.50, I think, $1.99 at some stores. It was just like it just made more sense to like get one Transformer for your birthday or get a couple GoBots every week when you went to the store. And they had girls. So Pathfinder, Spacey, Crasher. Crasher was a great villain of the 80s.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah. Yeah, I think because I've been cleaning up an old GoBots coloring book and some old Transformers coloring books, and I was just like, it's weird that sort of it's almost like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones when it comes to like GoBots and Transformers. It's like you either liked one or the other. And
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really discriminate as a kid because I didn't really know, like, there was no reason to, right? They were just cool. You wanted to play with them. And like we had a lot more imagination back then. We had to fill in the blanks, from the cartoon and
Right. Well, I will also say GoBots were easier to transform than Transformers. Like
yes.
sometimes you just folded it in half and you were done.
Right. You you pop out the arms, you unfold the legs, and you're done.
Yeah, I will say, I often as a kid felt stupid trying to transform Transformers because it felt like you needed a college education, and I don't know. Like I would just watch the kids who had them like transform the Transformers. I'm like, that was a lot. How do you remember all of that? Here we go. All right. I've got a sky.
Yay.
How is yours coming along? Are you brave enough to hold it up for the people?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I'm pretty far along.
Oh, nice. That looks really good. Let me quickly, I'm going to make you, we'll do solo layout really quick.
Oh, cool.
Very nice.
I just took the classic colors for Bo and just did the best I could with the colors I had, and tried to recreate the gold. It's kind of a blend of a bunch of colors.
Yep, that's that's how you do a proper gold with like even my gold is like it's like a yellow, it's an orange yellow, it's goldenrod. There's some burnt ochre in there. think it's burnt ochre. Yeah, it's burnt ochre. I always want to call it ochre brulee because that's the French name on there. So, but yeah, even gold.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like
I was wondering, like, yeah, there were some colors that I see that have that word. What did you just call it? Ochre or ochre?
ochre brulee. Yeah,
Ochre, yeah.
yeah. Ochre is just
Like, what the heck is that?
yeah. It tends to be like a darker shade. So like if you see green ochre, it tends to be almost brownish. So it's kind of like yeah, the ochres are just sort of a darker, like yellow ochre. Various browns will be in ochre. Um, anything like there's an actual. No, let's. I act as though Google isn't right here. Um,
I know. It's funny.
yeah. So ochre, a native earth colored with hydrated iron. There's my southern accent. Iron oxide. It varies in color from pale yellow to deep red, brown, and violet. There are two kinds. One has a clay basis, and the other is chalky. So
Chonky?
yeah, chalky. No, it's chalk, like chalk. CHALK.
Chonky.
Yeah, chunky. It's a chunky color. It's a type of clay. It's like a
Okay.
pigment from the earth. It's
Nice.
from the earth. It's natural. And we like natural things. So but yeah,
Well, I learned something new today.
I did too. Like I know that it's sort of darker shades, but I didn't actually know that it derived from a clay. So there we are. You learn distrust and dislike of Moby and something about the earth.
There we go.
Everything is popping on the Allison Troy channel.
There you go. Yeah, it's funny. I haven't sat down and so I used to do art a lot in high school and then some in college, but I haven't really sat down and colored like this in a very, very long time. And it's nice because you don't really have to think about much, going on in the outside world, your job and whatever. So I think it's a nice break from thinking about all that stuff.
Yeah, there's I'm sort of I had because I was a little bit more sort of serious and focused about art stuff. Like I'm going to be an artist. And then I realized what artists got paid. And I'm like, I'm not going to be an artist. And then in the late 2000s, I sort of created a couple cartoon characters. And I was going to try to do web comics. And it was not for me. But I had all the supplies. And then in 2016, I was feeling very depressed for various reasons. And my friend Kelly was like, here, have these adult coloring books. And I laughed at her. Behind her back, not to her face. And if you're watching this, Kelly, which she sometimes watches the replay, I'm apologizing for laughing at you, but come on. You know me, girl. Anyway, but she was like, they're good for relaxation for therapy and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. I'll use my fancy Prismacolor art pencils on that. Because that's what she was like. People use Prismacolor for them. I was like, what a waste of a good art. I was a complete snob about it. And during the pandemic, shit was crazy, as we all know, during lockdown and whatnot. And I was going through a box and I found some vintage Strawberry Shortcake coloring books I had that were uncolored that I had bought back in 1999 from on eBay. And back then I'm like, I'll get these and I will color them from front to back. And I'll do them fancy, and nice so that they're like picture books or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put them in a box and they sat there until the pandemic. And then during pandemic, I can't remember what I was looking for. And then I found those. And then I found those books that Kelly gave me. And I remember this Wonder Woman coloring book that I had as a kid. And this Princess of Power book that this is from. And how I never actually colored in this Princess of Power book as a kid. Because I got it and I'm like, this is a really cool book. The art is really nice. I'm not going to color in this until I have the right art supplies. But I was 10 or whatever. And then promptly forgot about it. And it sat uncolored. and did not have that as an adult. But during the pandemic, I found this through retro reprints because the actual physical copies of this uncolored are pretty out there price wise.
Yeah.
Found that and found that Wonder Woman coloring book I'd been thinking of, and then had all those Strawberry Shortcake coloring books. And it was around that time you invited me onto your show. And I was trying to figure out what I knew I wanted to do something on YouTube, but I didn't know quite what. And then I was looking at all the adult coloring content on YouTube, and I'm like, but I was like, nobody's doing any of these old books. And what made me sad about the old books is some of these old books have like stories in them. So there's actual like stories that, you know, like it sort of like for He-Man, there's one that literally is like a Filmation episode we never got.
Right.
So, and some of them are before Filmation for He-Man. So it's like Wave 1 mini comic He-Man history. And I was like, it would be kind of cool to preserve some of this history and like color it and do it fancy. And here we are in 2024 on a Sunday coloring Bo.
There we go.
Talking smack about Mattel.
Seems like it's always a thread of conversation is talking smack about Mattel.
Yeah. Hello, Carol. Good morning. Well, good afternoon-ish. Kenzo's Creation says, I always heard Yellow Ochre watch. Yeah, Bob Ross used it a lot.
Mm.
But as I mentioned, I was drunk or other things at the time. So wait, no, here we go. Sorry. Me and Captain Power. Yeah, so apparently Andrew has bought and sold many Captain Power.
Oh, fun. I like Captain Power.
Oh, Andrew also caved and did his first video. It's up. Well, we know what we'll be doing after this.
Yes.
I know what I'll be doing after this. I'll be eating lunch, Andrew. And then I'll go find your video. But yeah, so. And I'm also not going to finish this today. So, well, I'm not on stream. I'll finish it afterwards. So just FYI to anyone watching wondering, because I still have grass to do. And your girl can get pretty fancy when it comes to, and how do you know I get pretty fancy? Because here on my color chart that I made, the grass has 4 different colors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, chartreuse, light, true green, and celadon green. So
Very nice.
yeah, so you know what it is. So anyway, before we digressed, so art college, well, college and art, right? Was that like, were you in college for art, or you just took some art?
No, I always loved to draw, and I could do really well just sight drawing. If I looked at something, I could kind of sketch it out. So that's pretty much all I did. I liked illustrating album covers that were pretty basic. They weren't super involved, like Sting's Nothing Like the Sun album. It's basically kind of a black and white version of him. John Coltrane had a similar kind of look for one of his albums, and so I used to do that. I made those illustrations for my brother, who's a music producer and musician, so he has those up in his studio. But I remember taking art in high school, and I was the only kid in the class that was like drawing the Sword of Omens from Thundercats. And
Right.
I'd love to draw that kind of stuff, and everybody's was like, "What the heck is that?" And I'm like,
Yeah, right.
Thundercats, come on.
We're here to do actual. I used to get my art teacher. He's a big reason. Another reason why I'm doing any sort of art thing. She would get so frustrated because it's like, well, what project do you want to work on this week? I'm like, let's do Smurfs. Like, no, let's not do Smurfs. Anyone can do Smurfs. And then I'd be, okay, let's do Wonder Woman. No.
Yeah.
Tila. It was a lot of fighting between, and she was probably one of those, it's outrageous what these toy companies are doing to our youth of America.
Yeah.
So like when Sheena, Queen of the Jungle came out, I'm like, I want to do Tanya Roberts, Sheena. It would be really cool. she eventually realized, she was like, well, you can do Sheena, but here's a stack of National Geographic magazines set in the African safari. If you do Sheena, you have to do actual like safari stuff in the background. And then, of course, by the end of the project, I had gotten so invested in finding out about the safari that Sheena's like a tiny little figure in the corner, and the rest of it's all this cool stuff. She's a good teacher. So, but yeah, so that was sort of also like I always just wanted to do the pop culture stuff.
Yeah, it's always fun. It's always fun. Yeah. Then when I went to college, I have to look up which album cover this is from, but it was a portrait of Jim Morrison from one of the album covers. But then I used to burn like a ton of candles in my dorm room, and so I kind of got creative on this one and just started dripping candle wax all over it. So it looked kind of cool after that was done.
I don't know, you can get some really cool effects with burning wax. I used to in a different life when I yeah, well, that's not a topic for anyway. I used to do art with candle stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, you just sort of pour the wax on the paper, and then when you pry it away, if you use the right paper and a bad enough candle, like there's all that oil that like burns down into the paper, so you get like this oily splotch, and then you can tell somebody it's a message from beyond and sell it for $200 or $300. Like, look,
There
it's
you
your dead grandma trying to talk to you.
Yeah.
I bought a strawberry shortcake very happy home in 1999 through messages from beyond in wax. So,
Oh, nice.
I mean, I almost worked for Miss Cleo back in the day. I got pretty far in the end. It wasn't until I realized that I wasn't going to really make any money doing it that I was like, I'm out. Like, you don't get my psychic powers, Miss Cleo, unless you pay for them. Not that I didn't really have psychic powers, but
You did
I
it?
said I did to try to get the job. I'm very intuitive, but that's not a psychic power. That's because I watch people and how they behave and have a pretty good ability to sort of judge how people will react. I mean, which looks like psychic powers to some people, but it's just survival for others. So, but yeah, no, I almost worked for Miss Cleo once, but I did a lot of wax art. Do you have any of those? You should like find those and scan them, Michael.
Oh, I should.
I would love to see all of that stuff.
There's somewhere in my. I think last time I had visited my brother in Connecticut, I took a couple pictures of them. I don't know where my Jim Morrison is at the moment, so I'm sure I took a picture of it at some point, though.
Yeah, no, that would be cool. Well, that's sort of another thing that it never comes up in normal stream stuff, but well, one, your brother's channel is super awesome. I love that he recently did his whole like listening to the Stone Temple Pilots for the first time.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Well, it's also funny because the two of you have similar reactions when you're excited and exuberant about something. Like, oh, they have sort of the same laughter. But it was fun to watch. But I was also like, well, does Michael do any sort of music stuff at all, or is it just all his brother?
Yeah, I tried to play the drums when I was in high school. I could not get my feet and hands to operate independently from each other. That just doesn't work in my brain. If my right hand wants to hit something, my right leg would have to go in sequence with it, and I can't disambiguate the two and kind of make all of my arms and legs operate independently. So that was a quick and swift end to my drumming career. I dabbled in playing the guitar, got a guitar for, I guess, our first anniversary marriage. And so that was, I mean, I'm total off and on guitar person. I'm more off than on.
Yeah. But you can at least like make music happen with it.
Yeah.
So cool. And I would guess, I'm going to play, we'll play Oprah here for a second. I'm going to guess because your brother is so proficient, there were times where you were frustrated by that drumming thing.
I guess I really wasn't into it as a as a kid. This was in high school, and I think it more frustrated me that I like my body couldn't work the way I wanted it to work,
Yeah.
more so than like getting mad at him for being so cool.
Right.
But yeah, it was fun just to see what I could do, but I couldn't do much in the music arena. So
There's nothing wrong with that. And the music world's loss is Toy Tubes game. I mean, you do cool work here, so.
no thanks.
And there are way too many people who are douchebags who have channels
Yeah.
who are doing well. It's nice to see people who aren't douchebags doing well. I mean, you and the Toy Sorceress are amazing.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I
So
do.
lucky I found her.
Well, it's funny. I remember when, like before I did this, when you were taking your break,
Oh, geez,
and
yeah.
you're like, I might ask the Toy Sorceress. I'm like, you should do that.
Yeah.
And then you did, and I'm like, it's perfect.
Yeah, she works, as hard or more than I do.
Well, and what I love most about you and Toy Sorceress together is when you both get excited about shit.
Yeah.
I also love how no matter what toy line it is that you mention, the Toy Sorceress is gonna wait, and jump off, run off screen, and come back with like the entire toy line.
I love it.
Like it is the 2 or 3 times where she has not shown up with like the like holy grail of the toy line. I lost it on eBay last week. Some jerk got it, and it's just like,
Right.
like I feel bad for anyone who gets in Toy Sorceress's way when she wants something, because
Totally.
it's just I don't. But when she gets excited and you get excited, it's like it's fun to watch. Like I gotta say, there's some days where because often when you guys are on, I've got the whole art set up over here for when I record videos now. But I'll be over here working on something, just listening to the two of you, like having a good time. And
Yeah, it's fun.
there are not enough people having a good time on YouTube right now. So
Yeah, it's so funny because like I'll be talking about something and then like a random toy would fly through the screen.
right? I do like the ones where she tries to sneak off to go get it to be surprising about it. But I
Right.
also, when she's like, wait, just a minute, and then runs off, I'm like, this is perfect. It's spontaneous though. Like we sort of talked a little bit about producing stuff earlier, and it's like that's kind of what I do like about live streams, is sort of the spontaneity that happens when it's not a scripted or a super edited thing. Like I don't know, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, and that's something I learned when I did take my break, and it was nice to have another person to bounce ideas off of and just like have some input or have something to say about it, because I was in a rut of just doing tons of recorded videos and just spending so much time editing. She was like, why don't we just do a weekly live stream? I was like, duh. It's like, wouldn't have thought of that myself, but I needed somebody to add something to the discussion. So it's just all me.
I don't say this to be rude to your former co-host, but some of the previous format was based on what his availability was. It's like you couldn't just go live necessarily. I mean, not that Toy Sorceress is just sitting around all day. It's not like she doesn't have a whole ass career and like I just bought a house, but at the same time it helps that she's on this, we're all West Coast, so it sort of helps her on the same coast in the same time zone.
Yeah, it does.
But it just seemed like, and again, whenever we did that pre-record for the Princess of Power thing back in the day, I remember we sort of had to go back and forth a few times to find a date that lined up and a time to get everyone on the same page. So and some of that is Midwest. And I remember you mentioning Larry is in the Midwest. And I'm like, but why? Why is anyone in the Midwest? No offense to people in the Midwest right now. I love you all. You're great. Yeah. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Somebody was like -0 degree temperatures. I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah. And it's I guess along with just having her like coming with like her own fresh ideas was refreshing, to say the least.
But she collects so many toy lines too.
Yeah.
Like,
She has more toys than I do. It's like, holy cow.
well, I just there again, like there
She's so
isn't
knowledgeable about all of them.
yeah, there's not a toy line that you has ever been mentioned that she doesn't have at least one or two items from.
Right.
Like it's I don't know. But again, it's sort of that knowledge base, and it's like it's nice. I mean, I found you guys because of Origin stuff, and I would watch the. I wasn't back into GI Joe just yet.
Mhm.
I was curious, so like those two things, but it's like I also, collect a lot of Star Wars toys, and obviously there's some Strawberry Shortcake stuff happening, but yes, I don't know. It was cool that it sort of has been branching out, and you guys, I don't know, you guys just have a great vibe. It's one of my favorite things I look forward to every week.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's fun, and like oftentimes this is the first time that the Toy Sorceress and I are actually getting to catch up on and anything from the week because we're just churning out so much content.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's nice because you just kind of see the raw reaction that we both have when we're just kind of like taking the time to like dive in and look at the things that we've either spilled or we're covering.
Right. Well, and the website takes so much. One thing people realize, like, it takes a lot to keep a website up and going and
Yeah.
updated. And
Yeah, we also found that just it's so much quicker just to get those stuff on a site and just out versus like recording a video and all that stuff. I think I tried that for 1 month in I think March of 2022, and it just absolutely almost just ruined me.
yeah, that's why I have. It's part of why my content is what it is, because I've got like 30 Princess of Power coloring videos completed that need to be edited. It's like editing. Okay, we'll get
Yeah,
there.
a lot. You got a backlog of stuff.
I do, which once I sit down and actually just focus on it. But I don't know. The editing part, that's the only time I daydream about becoming a big time YouTuber is so I can hire somebody to edit.
Yeah.
But, Right. Oh, wait. Yeah, see, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, see, you just helped remind me why I'm not there. Yeah, yeah, everything is jelly. All right, it's hello, Tony. We're getting to the point where we're gonna wrap up, so you're gonna have to watch on the replay, Tony, which is fine. I am obviously not going to even get to a skin, but I got pretty far. So I'm going to quickly add me back to the stage and then do a solo layout. So that's where we are for Bo.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Here, I love the sky that you did. Like, I think one of my favorite things as a kid too was when I could drive, there's a spot up in the Oakland Hills where I could watch the sunset, and I love the just pink and purpleness.
Yeah, I would do that a lot when I grew up in Louisiana. I would climb up on top of the house and sort of lay there, and it's very flat there, unlike the West Coast. So if you hit the right spot on our ceiling, like it looked like there was nothing on either side of you. It's like you're kind of floating in the middle of the sky and just watching the sunset and the sunrise. Especially on days where like the sun was like real, like in the summer when it would be super. It was usually because things were burning in Mexico, and so it was environmental disaster time.
Right.
But it made really beautiful pink and orange and gold, and just lay there and look at the sky. So anyway, oh, there we go. Yep. No. Yeah. No. We're gonna put you on the quickly solo it. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I tried to, kind of recreate the sunsets
Yeah, that looks really good.
that I
Yeah,
saw as a
really
kid,
good.
and mix of greens and browns for the grass, of course.
Of
And I
course.
had to look up what like a animated bullseye looked like, so I tried to recreate that.
Yeah, right. I just went red and
I
off.
like that. I like that. Like Target.
Yeah, right.
Target.
Chilling even when I didn't mean to show. Thank you, Tony. You're down in my bones. All right, so we should probably wrap it up because we're getting to that time, and my stomach is like, "Girl, you need to eat." I will finish this today, and I'll tag you like on Instagram so that people can see what the finished one. I'm not gonna throw it up half-assed or whatever. And then if you are so inclined, take a picture of yours, tag me on
Of course.
Instagram.
Of course.
That way people can see it's fun to hang out with me. And I didn't shame you for not being an artiste. So
It was so nice. Yeah, it was so nice of you to invite me and just have this time because it was great to just talk about whatever randomness while we're coloring. So that was really
yeah,
fun.
right. Yeah, no, that's what I like about. I mean, it's technically toy tube-ish, but not. So yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So with that, we are gonna wrap it up. It's a little bit early, but my stomach and the cats are like, "Girl, you need to stop." So, and really quick, Kenzo, how could you? How could you? I'm not hungry enough. I'm not. No, no. There's that episode of The Simpsons where they're all stuck on the island, and one of the twins goes, "I'm so hungry, I could eat at Arby's."
That's funny.
And everyone's like, "Oh my God, she's really hungry." I'm just gonna say, even when I had that eating disorder, I was never hungry enough to eat at Arby's. So thanks, Kenzo.
Oh.
Anyway, so really quick, where can the people find you, Michael?
Let's see. We are 99% of the time just trying to churn out content on www.toyhabits.com. We are at Toy Habits website on Instagram, and then also at toyhabits_com on YouTube. So yeah, I'm excited that you're going to have the Toy Sorceress on at some point because she's amazing.
Yeah, we've been
Awesome.
chatting. And I think she wants. When I say once, one of the things I offered was Rainbow Bright, and she didn't say no.
Okay.
So fingers crossed, we'll get to do some Rainbow Bright, me and Toy Sorceress. I mean, she's moving, guys, so let's give her some space.
Yeah. Some literal space.
Literal. Anyway, yep, and tomorrow for those that are here because I'm here. I've got shorts every day right now. Tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm doing a premiere of my favorite toy about large size Princess Leia with a pretty cool page of Princess Leia. And on Wednesday, I'll be going live on a very special episode of Blossom where I'm coloring Flip War with Mad Hatter. So
oh, fun. That's awesome.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That would be fun.
It'll be chaotic. So anyway, which is why it was really great that we got this quiet down fun time today.
Was very nice.
Together. So anyway, thank you for joining me. Go watch Toy Habits this afternoon, everyone watching, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye, y'all.
Oh wait, slap the like and subscribe and junk. So. Exactly. That's why it's a very special episode of Blossom, because people are going to learn the F word. Anyway, I'm Retro Toy Princess, and I'm out. Bye.